All right. It is 6 p.m. on September 22nd, 2025. I'm going to call to order the regular school board meeting here at Woodford County Public Schools. All members are here in person, and I'm going to ask our Simmons Soul group to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Very well done. Thank you. All right. And Ms. McCowan, I believe you're going to lead us in a moment of silence.
Yes. Yes. Can you hear me? Test. No. I can speak up. I just want to have a moment of silence for a beloved educator here at Woodford County High School. On September the 9th, Cheryl Hill, who was our librarian for a very, very long time, her husband has been a basketball coach here. I went to school with her daughter. She passed away, and so she gave a lot of wonderful years to this school and to this district, and I think she may have been one of the first people that started taking kids to New York back when I was in school in the 90s. I mean, that's kind of how that New York trip came about for seniors. So I'd just like to ask folks to take one moment of silence in honor of Miss Hill. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could add, in my previous board experience, I got to know Miss Hill very well, and you talk about a professional. I mean, and she was a wonderful educator who made a positive impact on many, many students, and thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you both. All right. Do we have any proposed amendments to the agenda? All right. Then we're going to move on to our superintendent's report. Dr. Jones.
Good evening. Thank you. All right. So we've had a really great month so far, and I wanted to share a few highlights from this month with you. Again, I just wanted to mention that our goal this year is all voices are united in building the next generation of excellence in Woodford County. And I wanted to share with you some of the community leaders that I've had the honor of working with and meeting this past month. I was invited to the Versailles Baptist Luncheon, and that was an incredible experience. I got to share with them some of the great things that are going on in our school system. I also got to present with the Woodford County Retired Teachers Association. And then last week, I was invited to the state of the district, or really the state of the cities in the county at Midway University, and I was able to share some of the really great things that our school system is doing with several of our community members. And then I met with the president of Kentucky State University, and that was a very productive meeting, and he has some great ways that he would like to support our school system. As far as state leaders, I've met with the commissioner and all of the associate commissioners at the Kentucky Department of Education this last month, and was able to really hear about the benefits and the programs that they have that can support what we are doing. And then recently I met with Senator Amanda Bledsoe, and she as well was sharing some ways that she would really like to partner with us and support our work here. So I'm excited about that. Some of the community engagement that I wanted to share briefly. Again, we had an incredible State of the Cities and County at Midway University, and I was able to participate in that. Also, 2 weeks ago, we had our ribbon cutting for our new athletic facility at the new Woodford County High School campus. That was an incredible ceremony. We had students lined up across the field of all ages and all representing all of the sports that will be played at that facility. And that was such an exciting and inspiring night. I got to participate with the Versailles Flag Project. I was invited. Some of our Southside students were honored, and their flag, the design that they created for the city of Versailles, was chosen, and that flag now flies at City Hall. So as you're driving through town, if you would look, you see the new Versailles city flag. That was part of our project-based learning initiative and in a partnership with Versailles City Council. We also had an incredible kids safety fair here in the back here at Central Office last weekend, and that was an opportunity that was hosted by our fire chief, our police chiefs, several of our leaders in the county, and students got to come out, families got to come out and actually see helicopters, the med evac helicopters. They got to really have the experience of talking about all of the different safety systems that we have here in Woodford County. The last thing I wanted to highlight is just our house system that all of our elementary schools are using. And if we have students here, give me a thumbs up if you love the house system. So I'm hearing a lot of really great things about our house system, and I'm excited about the staff engagement and the commitment to every student feeling a sense of belonging in our school system through that. Wanted to give a few special shout outs. My mentor is here tonight, Miss Terry Morgan. She is the superintendent of Hardin County Schools, and she's here if she would stand, and I want to give her a shout out because she has been an incredible support for Woodford County Schools and me specifically. Also wanted to give a shout out to Amy Oates and Jill Hargis for their work with the wellness fair at the football game last week. It was incredible. We were able to really, connect others with the wellness offerings that we have in our county. We had lots of incredible county partnerships that showed up as well to really make sure that our families are connected to all of the health services that we have to offer. I have to give a shout out to Elaine Bailey. If anybody knows Elaine Bailey, you know that she works nonstop around the clock to make sure that our students and our staff are exalted and honored and our families to the level that they deserve in Woodford County. And so I just want to say thank you to her for her level of dedication to our district and to me. And then last, I wanted to give a special shout out to Dr. Josh Rayburn and also to Susan Tracy. Susan Tracy serves on the Hall of Fame committee, and she does an incredible job. She works countless hours to make sure that our Woodford County Hall of Fame is outstanding. It's stellar, and she serves as our employee here at the district and gives countless hours to do that. And then Dr. Rayburn also volunteers his time to really make sure that the program is it's run very well, the systems are working, the technology, and everything that needs to happen is done very well. So I thank them for that. Last thing I wanted to mention, just want to come back to budget transparency for our community and for our families and staff members. Our first budget committee meeting is on 9/25. It's here at Central Office from 4 to 5:30. Observers are welcome. We also have the budget tab on the district website, and there's a specific place if you have questions about our budget, you can submit those questions on that budget tab, and we review those every Friday here at Central Office to get those responses out in the question and answer, the frequently asked questions section. Wanted to mention and express my thankfulness to my gratitude to the members of our budget committee. We have Mr. Logan Nance, parent representative, Dr. Michael Cabell, parent representative, Mr. Don Offit for certified, Ms. Shelby Rodman for classified, Mr. Ryan Wilson as a school administrator, Dr. Josh Rayburn as a district administrator, Mr. Shane Smith, our chief of operations and finance, Tim Hawkins Smith, a community member and also former retired finance officer, and then Mr. Joe Belford, representing WEEF and our community member, and he also is a finance. He's a finance professional. Last thing, been conducting a lot of rounding sessions, one-on-one conversations with families and teachers, and some of the things that we are seeing from those rounding sessions. Our schools feel supported. Two-way communication is getting better. Also, I've heard a lot of praise around our board meetings and how efficient they are running and also how focused they are. So I wanted to shout that out. And then some of the things that we are continuing to work on and see as a need are welcoming and our onboarding systems, our hiring systems, and just that whole process. And so we are really focusing on that system at central office to make sure that it's the very best it can possibly be. And of course, budget continues to be, people are thankful for the transparency around the budget, but also see the need to continue that work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing all that information.
Sure.
I think we're all very excited that you come to these meetings as prepared as you do and share and recap on what's been going on. So thank you very much. All right, next we're going to go into our recognitions. And first up, we have Mr. Asher talking about the Woodford Educational Endowment Fund.
Good evening, everybody. I have the honor to present this recognition, the Hive Award. Is this the first one, Dr.
It's the first one.
All
It's
right,
the
very
first one.
and a very fitting partner to receive it. So this is for WEEF, the Woodford Educational Endowment Foundation, or Fund, I should say, founded in 1994. Mr. Silas Hart was a part of the original group and has really kept it going since that time with the help of many others, both community members and staff. I've been involved with the group as a principal and in my current position for basically my whole career here in Woodford, and have seen nothing but great benefits for our students. For those of you who don't know, that's essentially what they do. They serve and support our students. And two main ways that is done year in and year out are to provide performances and experiences really focused on the arts and culture. So for example, we were able to send 4 classes, history classes, a theater class, to go see The Crucible just last week at Woodford Theater. We do many of those different things, anything from Lexington Children's Theater to really excited about an opportunity that our English students will get to go see the Holocaust experience up in Cincinnati. So just a variety of things that probably would otherwise go unfunded thanks to their efforts. They also do the mini grant program that we're in the midst of right now, where teachers and staff can apply for unique opportunities, experiences to provide to their students in just a lot of various different ways. And again, that would likely go unfunded. So thanks to WEEF in general, and thanks to their funds, a lot of cool stuff happens for our kids. So without further ado, Silas Hart, if you'd come forward for the recognition, and a round of applause, please.
Well, I'd like to thank you and point out that, as you probably say quite often, it is all Ambrose's fault. Because after Kara happened, and in 1993, I went to a board meeting and asked Ambrose when they were going to do something about the shortfalls. And he asked me when I was going to do something. So here I am. We're still here. We are alive and well. And what we're about is exactly what you're about. We want excellence in education in Woodford County. Woodford County doesn't tolerate mediocrity in anything, especially in our schools. So what you're doing is so important. Thank you for that. And we just want to add another dimension and make this just as good as it can possibly be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. next recognition is going to be presented by Mr. Wells.
Good evening. So it's truly an honor and a privilege to be here tonight to talk about Miss Swinford. I could take up the rest of the meeting, but I won't. I know we've got a long night ahead of us, but I could. I submitted a nomination on Sarah. I don't think I was the only one, but I think she's very deserving. And just a couple of the reasons why. She's exceptionally competent. She knows mental health, especially in a school setting, better than anyone. She knows how to navigate the most delicate of issues. She does it every day. And I'm talking about the kinds of things that would make most of us go stand in the corner in the fetal position. She deals with some serious issues, trauma, threats, abuse, and she does it masterfully every day. And lastly, and I'll close with this, she's always available, before school, after school, nights, weekends. What she deals with doesn't stop. She could say no, not tonight, or I'll deal with that on Monday. But she doesn't. The safety and well-being of our students is that important to her. We are lucky to have her, and the School Worker Association couldn't have selected a more deserving person, Sarah Swinford.
Thank you so much. I am so honored to be the recipient of this award and just to be recognized. I just want to say to the board and Dr. Jones, I feel so blessed to work in Woodford County, where I feel like you all put such an emphasis and just prioritize the well-being and mental health of our students. So thank you so much, and just please continue to do what you do to support us every day. I have an amazing team that I work with, and we do a lot of good stuff to take care of our kids because you allow us to do that. It's a privilege, so thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. All right. Dr. Jones is technically next with her superintendent remarks, but since she's out there, I'm going to go ahead and do our good news report, and we'll come back to her when she gets back in. So, Ms. McEntee, you want to kick us off with the good news report?
Okay, I have had the privilege of being at Southside the past couple of weeks now. Woodford County gives a lot of the seniors the opportunity to go student aid at the elementary schools, and I've been able to work alongside some really great teachers. I didn't go to Southside, I went to Northside, but being able to look at all these teachers and what an impact they're having on the younger students is such a blessing. And Woodford County is so blessed for all of these fifth grade teachers. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Miss Tolliver at Southside Elementary. She is a great teacher. That's it. Thank you.
Ms. McCowan?
Yes, I'd just like to congratulate our WCHS marching band. They competed over the weekend at Garrett County against 16 schools, and they came in 4th place. So I know we talk about all the time all of their hard work and dedication. I just want to say congratulations to our marching band.
Mr. Wilson?
Mr. Chairman, I think there's no better example of good news than what's standing right here in front of us, these students. And I wanted to thank you personally for coming this evening when you could have been home, but you came to share with us. Thank you very, very much.
Dr. Gould?
I wanted to celebrate our community partnerships and how our community partnerships support our students so many different ways. I was able to take part in a couple events this month, and there was one that I really wanted to be at, but I had double bookings of time and I wasn't able to get there. But I just wanted to say thank you to our community partners, to Judge James Kay, who was there for the ribbon cutting ceremony and all the things that he does, and our Mayor, Laura Dake. when we talk about our county park and the way that that serves our sporting community, but I'm so excited that we also have our new high school field online for that reason as well. I was able to attend the varsity soccer game that night and see the first game played and the first goals scored on that field was really exciting. So I think that's a testament to our community partnerships. Also wanted to highlight the work that 4-H does in our community. It really provides a lot of opportunities for our students to be able to engage in not only community but civics as well as other special groups, including cooking and sewing and just all different. They have a lot of things going on. But there was an event, the one that I was not able to attend, but I think it's important to highlight, is the ham auction, the Country Ham Project that our 4-H partners with our students in our community, be it Whitford County students or other students in our community. Anybody can take part in that. There is a process, of course, but our students were able to auction off their hams and make lots of money, it's my understanding, from their ham projects. So I just think that that is a great partnership for not only our ag community, but also just anybody in our community, any kid that wants to go out, fourth grader and above. And then last but not least, I was able to take part of the wellness fair, and that was such a great committee to be a part of, and I was just really thankful for all the hard work that everyone on that committee did to bring that to fruition, but our community showed up for us, and we can, being able to have that opportunity, I just think those are three really good ways to highlight just the partnerships that we have between Whitford County schools and our community. So thank you all for all you do.
Thank you. Ms. Springate?
Yeah, I would just echo Mr. Wilson and just say thank you to all of our parents and family members and grandparents from Simmons for coming out tonight, our teachers and staff for showing up, and of course our students. I think everyone's absolute most favorite part of board meetings is when we have you guys come and sing and do presentations and act and dance and show us all of your wonderful talent. So thank you all for being here. And then I did want to just say I'm very excited about the strategic planning process that we've just begun in Whitford County. So that'll give hopefully everybody a voice and a chance to kind of weigh in on priorities, future goals, and really kind of examine what's working really well in Whitford County and what we would like to see some improvement on. So hopefully you all will be seeing more information and having more ability to engage in that process in the future. So thank you.
Thank you. Go for it.
I promise I'll be quick because I'm long-winded. The reality store is coming up, and that's another great highlight of the community partnerships that we have. But if you have the time in your day, or if you work in the community and want to come out and help with that, it's our 7th graders go around and they learn about life in the reality store. I went through it as like a sophomore in high school here back in the 90s. I won't date myself too much, but it is such a lasting and memorable project and product of our communication with our communities and our engagement with our students. So if you have time to be a part of that, signups are going on right now. I've already signed up myself. I cannot wait. I was a part of it last year and I'm really excited to be a part of it again. So I highly recommend it.
And I got the opportunity today to actually participate in the Watchdog program at Simmons. And so every time I do that, I see something new. I see the work and the effort that our teachers, that our interventionists, that our counselors put into our students. And so I just really want to shout out everybody that participates in that. The parents that bring their kids to school that sometimes have to come pick their kids up from school. And there are some hard situations that families have to deal with. And I just want you to know that we as a board and the staff at the schools, we care about your children. We care about the needs that they have. And every time I do the Watchdog program, I see it firsthand, and I'm in the classrooms, and I'm in this sensory rooms, and it's just such an impactful thing that we provide. And I just want you to know that if you ever need anything, reach out to somebody at the schools, because we want to make sure that you have the resources that you need. I also encourage anybody to participate in the Watchdog program. All you need to do is a background check with that school, dads, grandpas, uncles, caregivers, whoever you may be. So it's a really great program to get some more people in the schools. All right. And now we'll go over to the superintendent's remarks. Oh, you did? Yes, sir. Well, that was yeah. All right. So now what we're all really here for is our Simmons Soul performance. Ms. Tribbett.
All right, thank you all so much for having us. Thank you to the board. You've always been so welcoming. every year that we come to sing, and it's just a delight for us to be here and showcase the importance of music education, especially for our youngest children. I'd like to also, as many of the board members said, give a huge thank you to these students and all of you family members that are here tonight. We've had 2 practices. So what you're about to see is going to be raw, and it's going to be fun. So I invite you to sit back, and if you feel like dancing, maybe dance.
All
that's what you do at 2 practices, that's really impressive. Thank you so much, Ms. Trivett. Thank you so much, Simmons Soul students. And parents and family members, you are more than welcome to stay at the school board meeting, but if you would like to go home with your children, feel free to do so. We're just waiting for everybody to make it out of the building. We'll get started again here in a minute. All right, we're going to get started again here. And Mr. Joe Albert with our Simmons Elementary presentation.
Thank you. I thought they were all here for me, but apparently they are not. I'll get some FaceTime with them back at school someday. So, as always, I really appreciate always getting the opportunity to share with the board the great things that are happening at Simmons. Mr. Brickler got to see it firsthand today, so we really appreciate getting to share a little bit. Some of the big things we're doing this year, you've already heard about this, is the house system that's sweeping across Woodford County. Simmons really bought into this. I was fortunate enough to send a group of teachers in January, with myself included, and then another group of teachers over the summer. So we've sent 13 staff up to this point. Our outlook on this was if we were going to do it, we were going to go all in. And so we've really embraced the house system at Simmons. The main reason that we wanted to do this is to continue to grow our community and sense of belonging. Our building does not have a great layout, and there's a lot of dead ends, and so a lot of different students and teachers do not get to cross paths. So we found this was a great way to sort of unite and really bring our building together. Additionally, we're always looking for ways to motivate our students. Our students have really bought into earning house points and being part of a community and being part of a team. We were very intentional in how we placed our students within the houses. There's different ways to do it, but we opted to do it where all families were in one house to really bring in the families as part of that. So instead of having students in 2 different houses, if they had students in Altruismo, the parents are part of Altruismo. We thought that was very important for our family so that it wasn't a house divided, but that they could be a big partner as well. Additionally, you may have heard or you may not be familiar with, but part of the house system is earning these house points, like I mentioned. we were very intentional in tying the way that our students earn their house points was back to the Portrait of a Learner. So going above and beyond with the portrait allows us to not only bring attention to the portrait, but to highlight opportunities and things that our students have been doing with the portrait to not only then showcase that, but to show our students are exhibiting it and demonstrating it. Something else that's been a big push for us this year is, and this is part of the house system as well, is an increase in parental involvement and volunteerism, really getting families and community partners in our building. Our doors are always open. Like I said, Mr. Brickler was there today. We love having people in our building and seeing the great things that are happening. There's no better way. I can come up here and present, but it's much more impactful for you all to be able to see that in our building. So I invite and encourage all of you to Simmons at any time. We won't put on a dog and pony show. We are what we are, and we will be doing what we do best, which is educate our kids in all facets of their lives. Additionally, the way we're doing this is with our house family nights. We've already had one that we kicked off at the end of August. It was a very, very good turnout. We want to build up upon that momentum. In 2 weeks, we have, each house is also hosting a house night throughout the year. All families from all houses are invited. However, each house is responsible for putting that on. So my house, I'm Revere. We are hosting a night in 2 weeks, the week we come back after fall break, to really build on the momentum and not let it wane over a break. We have a Singo. If you're not familiar, that's bingo, but with music. And so we're inviting all of our families to come on that Thursday to participate and celebrate and be together. After every event we're hosting this year, we are eliciting parent feedback. It's very important to us to get that feedback, that instant feedback, to make adjustments and changes. Since we have so many things on the horizon, we really want to hear from them to see what they want, what fits their schedule, just partnering with them to get that information so that we can really make it a true partnership. And then lastly, we're exploring some ways that volunteers can earn house points for their students. As I mentioned, if you have students in a particular house, your volunteerism either in the building or opportunities outside of the building, we want them to be able to earn points, and so that it really creates a unified, that this doesn't just stop when you leave Simmons, but it continues outside of our building. And lastly, we're looking at updating our mission and vision. This is now my 4th year as principal of Simmons, and I'm very blessed and humbled to be leading such a great school. However, I inherited this mission and vision, and in that time, this was developed. Most of our staff has turned over, and so they weren't part of that process, so it was something that we inherited. We found that this was the best time to do so because with this house system and the things that we're trying to focus on, it's going to allow us to update and refresh our mission and vision with input from our students, our staff, and our families. One thing is called Simmons Scales. At Ron Clark Academy, they have what are called dragon scales. They're the dragons there. Bulldog scales doesn't really make much sense, but we like the Simmons scales to provide a balance. And so we're looking at doing these different things to that really show what our students and staff and families expect in each of those roles. If you're familiar with Title I compacts, similar to that, where each defined role has the things that they want to focus on, but it's more in a playful, more in a kid-friendly manner, I guess you would say. We're going to then use those scales to help develop our mission and vision. I just had SBDM before I came to this meeting, and we talked about our charges for our committees, and one of our committees will be leading the Simmons Scales and the development of those. Then we'll parlay to another one of our committees that will be working on the mission and vision with the input from all of our stakeholders. So in closing, Simmons truly is where I want to be. Again, I keep referencing this, but it was today. We have our areas of opportunity. We have our tough days. Today was one of them. However, my staff and the students will be back tomorrow, ready to go, ready to take on the world, get us to fall break. But it is a great place, and I really appreciate all the support that you all have provided for us so that we can be as successful as possible for our students.
Any questions, comments? Ms. McCowan?
Thank you, Mr. Albert, for coming. I love seeing the Simmons presentation. I love that you all are getting involved with the house system. I think that has to be so much fun. And just thank you for being humble and for being real and just telling telling us how things are going, and I appreciate your visit. Thank you.
I echo that. One of the things I've really missed as a board, and I hope we get back to at some point, is coming into the schools. Because I think coming into the schools and seeing the students and the teachers and the staff and the parents and the grandparents and the family in the school, it just feels very special. And it also kind of allows us to take a look around and see, like, hey, I like these new whatever bleachers, or oh wow, that's that thing we voted on and now you have it and you're implementing. That's wonderful. So I'm hoping we can get back to that at some point. But we definitely appreciate when you come and bring the talent. So thank you.
As a person who went to Simmons Elementary as a child, yes, 3rd through 6th grade, because we had 6th grade then, up in the locker pathway. Yep, you get to slide down the banister. 6th grade room is right there. Yes, love it. I am just so proud of where you all have taken Simmons. I think that I was there in a time of struggle and transition in a lot of ways, and back in the 90s. Again, not to date myself, but that's when it was. And so I just, where we want to be, I think that is such a important statement, and that you all and your teachers, your staff, everybody has done a great job of just transitioning that school and making it just everything that your statement states, where we want to be. And so that is something to be so proud of. And Simmons is full of great resources, and it's just, it is a wonderful building, a wonderful school, a wonderful playground. It's something very unique we have, and so much rich history behind Simmons. So you have lots to be proud of. So keep up the good work.
I got to talk to you about it. Love and patience is what I feel when I'm in Simmons. When I go in there and I see your staff working with the kids and working with kids from all different backgrounds, all different strengths, different weaknesses, love and patience is what they're showing those students. And I think that comes from leadership. I think that comes from you. I think it comes from Ms. Ford. I think everyone down, right? And I just think it's so important to recognize the culture that you and your leadership teams have built there. Your counselors are amazing. I got to participate in gym today, and every part of Simmons is showing what we need to show to these students, and I just appreciate everything you do for there.
Sir, I just wanted to say thank you for coming today. We've not met, but I hope to get to Simmons soon so I can spend some time with you and your staff and your students. But it is 100% obvious your compassion for your students through your presentation, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I'm not a board member, but I have to say that I was at your house night with families, and all the families showed up, dressed in their gear, and they were so excited. And they not only were excited, they were learning how to be more involved, specific ways they could be more involved in your school. And I know that took an incredible amount of work, but it's paying off. And I'm hearing lots of families talk to me specifically in the community about Simmons and about the processes that you're using to get them engaged in the work. And so thank you for that.
Thank you all so much, and I appreciate it.
Millie,
Thank you.
Millie
No,
wanted
it's okay.
to say.
Oh, go for it. Nope.
Oh.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point something out. At the high school, we've been talking a lot about PEP and, bringing back school spirit. And I think implementing this in the elementary schools is such a good way to start that off. Woodford has always been such a peppy county, and starting kids off now being proud of their school and being involved in their school is such an amazing concept, and you should be really proud of yourself for implementing this. Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you. All right. Next, we have up the new high school project update. And is that going to be Mr. Smith? There you go.
Well, good evening. I'll be very brief this evening. As was mentioned earlier, we had the ribbon cutting ceremony at the athletic stadium last week. I think that went off very well. Everyone so far has been giving very positive feedback for the facility and very appreciative of it, all the athletic teams. I had a Red Book training in here last week, and a lot of the coaches and athletic boosters were in here, and they were all very complimentary and very appreciative of that facility. So wanted to start off with that. If you've been by the high school, you'll see that the ag barn is essentially erected. What we're waiting on currently is the plumbing, the indoor plumbing, and the slab to go down, and that should be finished up hopefully soon. The construction began on the sidewalks, and we were hoping to get maybe a significant amount of that poured this week, but it's going to depend on the rain that we've not seen in a couple of months. Always perfect timing as we get ready to do something outside, right? So anyway, we're making very good progress on that. Hopefully we should have all that wrapped up in the very near future. I do want to clarify something I said at the last board meeting. Ms. McCown even asked me about it afterwards, and I got a number in my head, and I apologize. I try to not do this. I always want to try to have the report in front of me, but the balance, I convoluted two numbers together on the ending balance of these high school projects. We have, as of right now, $2,252,283 in purchase orders sitting on that project, and then an unencumbered balance of $628,951. So I think I combined those numbers when I gave you all the available balance at the last meeting, and so I wanted to clarify that. I know there's a couple of items that you need to vote on coming up. I do think the purchase orders will wind up not being the $2.2 million. We've tried to be a little bit heavy on that as we go, knowing that as those contracts and everything gets finished up, those dollars will be released back to the project. But the available balance as it stands right now, $628,951.52.
Can I just clarify? I'm sorry. I wrote it down. So 698 or 628?
628.
28. Okay, thank you.
628,951.52. That's the free unencumbered balance at the moment out of those two projects.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yes.
That's what we have left over from the high school at this point in time, correct?
That's correct.
And that money will go into a fund that we can potentially use to replace the middle school roof, correct? No.
Whatever's left when we close the project out, yes.
Okay,
You
yes.
can use it for other facility
Yes.
items that are on the DFP plan. Yes.
Okay. And do we have anything that's like brewing that may need to be changed at this point in time, or do we feel like everything's kind of where it needs to be?
As far as the high school project?
Like change orders or
Well,
anything?
so there are a couple of things. Obviously, there's the two items that are tonight. The biggest thing that I know of that has been discussed is a band tower to go into the staff student parking lot for the band director to use for practice. I'm not sure what exactly the accurate title is. Band tower. I think that'll probably be in the neighborhood of 60 to 70,000 if that is proceeded with.
Okay. But other than that, the wrapping around the fence, it's not there
So
yet.
the wrapping of the fence was a contract worked through by Athletic Director Johnson, so there shouldn't be any out-of-pocket cost to the district for that. We have a few small, I say small, less than probably $5,000 worth of lighting, security cameras and stuff that yet have to go in there. But I think other than some minor equipment, I'm not aware of anything else that we'd have to look at for that project.
The fence is going to go underneath the grandstand area. Is that that's already allocated, correct?
I believe that's already part of that.
Because I know we had
encumbrance.
talked about that before.
Yeah.
So all in all, minus the potential for this band tower, we have $628,950. $51 left.
That doesn't account for the items that are getting ready to.
We have two items next.
But other than tonight,
Correct.
we have minus those two items. We should have enough in theory to potentially cover the middle school roof, correct, is what I'm asking.
No.
It
Depends
depends on the
how much
quote
middle school-
and what the cost will be.
Okay.
But if we decide to use those funds towards that, it would,
Yes.
take at least a big chunk out of it.
Yes, absolutely.
I may be looking at it wrong, but when I was looking at the change orders, I thought that the change orders exceeded the amount that we have in the contingency, and that it would be a negative balance in the contingency if we approve the change orders tonight, but I might have looked at it wrong.
Yeah, that change order, that change order is a little bit confusing. The change order cost is $76,243.24. It did look like Trace Creek had added on some some construction management fees. Substantial completion of that building was July 28th, and they're still on site helping get things wrapped up. So I think they've want to get paid for some of those additional time that's been spent on the project. So.
But how much more do we have left? Like, we should be done, right, at this point?
Well, we did the ribbon cutting on the grandstand last week, but that was the holdup, plus the pending change order for the spring box that has to be looked at, so.
All right. Anything else for the high school project update before we move into those additional items?
Do you know, Mr. Smith, where the ag barn cost came in at? Because I know there was the structure itself, and then it had to be kind of like, the ground had to be.
I'll have to revisit that. I can email that to the board and the superintendent tomorrow just to revise that number.
I was just curious.
It was really close to whatever was voted on.
I thought 600,000 was the amount, but I could be way off.
I'll get it to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right. Can I have a motion to approve high school auxiliary parking? Motion by Mr. Wilson. I'll second that. And open it up for discussion.
Yeah, Mr. Reed, the principal from the high school, we asked him to come tonight to just kind of talk about the need for that, so I'll turn it over to him.
I think there are some data on here. Get some numbers in front of y'all. All right, so full transparency, when I got here in August of 23, parking was not an area of concern that we really focused on. Around spring break of 24, we started noticing we were running out of parking here at this old building. We had staff and students parking in ADA spots. We were utilizing the grass, and we started digging into why that was happening. What we realized is the student parking lot had never been striped, or was not striped at that time. And we didn't have a real understanding of how many cars we could park on this campus, and we were overselling passes, like we had no end point. So we wanted to address that. So in the August of 24, and we had the lot up there striped, we numbered every spot in preparation of moving to the new school, because we knew those were things we did not want to continue, of parking in the grass and overselling our spots. So we moved to the new school in January of 25. With that move, we increased our parking capacity by 4 spots. There were 4 total spots more at the new school than there were at the old school. That coupled with a new House Bill 15, which decreased the permit age to 15 and the driving age to 16, kind of created a perfect storm within that move. So what we noticed in the last semester, we were at capacity, and students who could not get passes were still driving to campus. They were utilizing on-street parking. They were parking in neighborhoods. We were consistently getting calls about students parking, which I had to communicate. We don't have an authority over off-campus activities. So if a student chooses to park in a neighborhood and block your mailbox or block your driveway, then I can let the student know, but you have to talk with your HOA or your the city police with that, which created that's not the customer service I want to be able to put out. But so we knew something needed to happen. I met with Dr. Jones when she first arrived, and we were getting ready to sell spots, just kind of with this general concern. So here are some numbers for you right now. Our current capacity, the way we have allocated our spots at the high school, we have 135 spots allocated for staff, 279 spots for students, and that leaves us 17 spots for visitors on any given day. And of course, we do host a lot of events throughout the day, which can create not a lot of capacity for those visitors. If Mr. Hunley's hosting a PD or something from other schools, they'll come use our common space, and it can create quite a strain. Of that current capacity, we have 128 spots currently assigned to staff, 231 assigned to students, and the 17 spots are visitors. So that leaves 7 unassigned staff spots, 48 unassigned student spots. We do currently have 37 students on a wait list for those 55 available spots. Those are students who already have a permit and are just awaiting their intermediate license to be able to drive. Outside of that, our potential demand on any given day. Now, there are a lot of variables in who is going to drive to campus. So I've really just pulled numbers of aged students, but we know they have to go get their license. They have to have access to a car. So there are a lot of variables on how many students actually drive. But we do currently have 600 students over the age of 16 that are eligible to drive if they have a permit and they have a car. And we have 225 students that will be reaching the age of 16 this year. So again, that kind of gives you perspective. If there was a perfect storm, we do have 825 students that would be eligible to drive at the high school. So what we've proposed is at the back of the student lot, putting a gravel pad there to create overflow parking for our students, so that we don't have to turn students away on a given year. This will also expand event parking, so as we've had the ribbon cutting at the new facility, it just gives more parking for people to utilize. I mean, in future years, it again will hopefully expand our visitor parking. We're utilizing 20 spaces up front currently for staff. We could be able to move those to the back and have more visitor space throughout the day. We'd have potential to better manage our capacity, and maybe move away from assigned spots. So one thing you'll see, if you're over there in the afternoon, we have a lot of work-based learning or community service students, so it could look like we have open spots, but we've allocated those spots to students, so when they come back to campus, they're not left without a spot. But we could be able to move to this whole area is just for students, know what that capacity is, and kind of be on a more first come, first served basis on any given day. And this potential move would create a base layer for designated expansion. So that is one of the original kind of schematics that I believe was put out when the blueprints were released. And you see future parking expansion is listed on there. That is kind of what we are proposing there at the back of the student lot. So it's kind of just that initial step to maybe future expansion down the road as well.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Yep.
So I know you mentioned that one of the reasons probably we're seeing this increase in demand for spots was the driver's license, the permit age being changed to 15. But you can't drive a car by yourself until so I'm not sure how that impacts.
So the old law was you were permitted at 16, you got your intermediate at 16 and a half. So
right.
It took 6 months off of that because now you can drive at the age of 16.
So okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like I had some more questions too. Anybody else does, you go ahead, I'll find mine.
I think that this is something that the community, if you follow anything on social media, had lots of concerns about as soon as the high school was being built, because there was rumors that flew around about that there was less parking spots. You said there was 2 extra, actually from here, 4 extra. So not a significant number of parking for an expanded potential student body, but also with the bill passing as well. I think that it's something that is needed, and I think that it would serve and benefit not only our students, but also the community members. I won't say I called it. I knew it. It would be an issue eventually. Then I was like, if I was a student, this is what I would do. But the only concern that I have about managing a gravel lot, you said it was going to be gravel, correct, would be assigned, because you can't stripe. And I will say, when I was here back in the 90s, it was striped up there. But it can't be striped. So do you have thoughts kind of forward thinking about like a policy of, say, somebody takes up more space to park than is allocated, to kind of negate some of that concern about, okay, yes, we have this extra spot, but people aren't parking as exactly correct. Like, is there are we gonna, like the barriers, I'm talking about the little concrete things to kind of show where that space is. So I just think about new drivers and trying to navigate that, how we could be forward thinking about if we do approve this, like, how do we maximize that space? And is this only going to be for students, or is this staff included as well? Because it sounds like the student need is what's being addressed,
Yeah,
correct?
we have capacity for staff right now, so that's the
So we're
first
good.
thing we had allocated.
Okay.
And our goal has been to keep staff and students away from each other. That's how the
Yes.
parking lots were originally designed and KDE approved, and I think there is benefit from there. Right now, we do have some work-based learning students that do utilize our staff lot, just so we have additional spaces for them. But to your original question, I think that's something we would have to be creative on. I think at the beginning, I would try to lay down some striping to kind of get students in kind of the mindset of how we do utilize the space. But as gravel shifts, we know that's going to. I think we could go out on a periodic basis and potentially restripe it to kind of keep that going. But I always say we have great kids, and it kind of once they learn.
Right, absolutely. But it's hard as a new driver, is what I was
Yeah, for
thinking.
sure.
Would the seller parking permits go towards some of that upkeep of potentially that gravel lot and spacing and,
Yes.
the lines that may need to be,
So
to keep
all
our
of
students safe?
All of our parking permit fees go into our general fund, and then that is to be utilized on parking.
Okay.
So one thing we did this year is the spots in the front were not numbered for staff. We added that this year out of those funds. That's what paid for the striping over here as well.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. You've answered my questions. I appreciate it.
Have we looked at how much it would cost to do blacktop? I mean, 60, and was this the lowest bid? How was this bid out? Because that seems like a lot for, and I don't know anything about this, so it could be cheap, and I just don't know it. But it seems like an awful lot for 38,000 square feet. Yeah.
Blacktop would be significantly more, probably pushing the $200,000 plus price point. So I did not get any more quotes for this. This is the same company that's done the concrete work. He's usually significantly cheaper than anyone else. I'll be glad to get another quote, or two more quotes if we felt like that's. I don't think that's going to come back as being very high in the grand scheme of things, because there's a significant amount of dirt that has to be removed out of there as well to be able to put the gravel down. But I'd be glad to get additional quotes if we feel like that.
Like, what's our policy around the quotes? What's our minimum? Like, I know most places, I thought it was $40,000, but I could be making that up. But like,
Well,
if it's
that-
under a certain threshold, you don't have to bid it out. But once it hits a certain number, you do have to get bids.
Yeah, $40,000 is the model procurement rule. But, there's some things around that as long as you're trying to get competitive bids on it, but I'd be glad to exercise that if we need to do that. So since he was already on site and has done this other work, I was trying to mobilize him for that expense, because I do feel like it'll be significantly higher than that, so.
What about something like what was just laid down at the county park? Up on the hill, behind the football stadium, or Commonwealth, or not Commonwealth, behind Commonwealth, Community Stadium? Because that's not like true blacktop, but it's like a mixture. If you look, and I am a road constructor's daughter, but I am not hip on my blacktop terms, but it looks like almost like a mixture of gravel, but it's more of a constant surface than.
I'm not familiar with what they put down. I'd be glad to check into it.
That might be something, just to see the price point of it, to be able to stripe and maybe maintain a little bit better.
Okay, I did have a question. I keep thinking I'm not going to ask, and I'm going to ask. So where would the funds come from to cover this change order?
It would come out of the construction contingency.
The 628,000.
So it would come out of that. And for some reason in my mind, when I looked through the documents, combining the both of them, I somehow had thought that maybe that we would be in the negative kind of category. I know on project number two, well, anyway, I just wanted to clarify before we voted.
Yeah, and I've mentioned this before. We started out with two separate projects, which I regret every day of my life. We did a phase one and a phase two. I look at those two projects combined because once we get finished with all the construction, we've got to go back and we've got to revise BG1s with KDE to make sure the balance, so essentially one project is slightly overspent, the other one has the capacity. We're just going to move funds from the phase one and move it over to phase two for the athletic fields and wash all that out when we clean out the BG1s and revise them. But as of right now, the total project, 628,951, as it stands right now for both combined. Yes, that's correct.
I just wanted to tackle this from a student perspective. I love this idea. I mean, I know I'm not swiping the credit card or making any of the purchases. I am 17 years old. I don't make these purchases. But from a student perspective, I love this idea. I had to deal with the nightmare that was the parking situation at this old high school, and it was awful. It wasn't the staff's fault by any means. It was just how the layout was, and Woodford County is growing. I mean, there are more students here every day, and so more people means more cars, people trying to get to school. Even with the new high school, like he said, I think you said it was 37 people on the wait list right now. Those are people that are 16 years old right now. I mean, we're only in September, October. People are still going to age up and get to the point where they are eligible for passes, and they're just going to keep putting in. I'm work-based, so I come to school a block after school started, and there are mornings that people are in my parking spot. And they don't have a pass, but they need somewhere to park. I mean, there are some kids that live in Lexington or Georgetown. Their parents can't come and get them every single day. They need to be able to transport themselves. So I think this idea is great. I really support this idea. I mean, I'm a senior. I won't be here to enjoy it again, but I think this is a really good idea, and I love it. So thank you for this.
How many more spots will it get us?
Approximately 100.
100. And when will this be? If we approve it, when will it be?
If we approve this one, I think I can get it done in the next month.
I really would like to see some additional bids, just because we're at the point that we're at in our contingency budget, to see if it comes in any lower.
I'll be glad to
I don't
do
want to
that
put
before-
anything off,
No,
but
no,
I think to do our due diligence.
Yeah, we can absolutely,
Okay.
I can get 2 additional quotes before the next board meeting.
I tend to agree with that. And I also like the idea of investigating what Dr. Gould mentioned of even if it's not full blacktop, but whatever the other surface, and I'm sure we could get that information pretty easily, because we need the extra parking and everybody knows that. But I think maybe getting a couple extra bids and maybe some discovery around additional surfacing, and we may land on this exact same decision that's proposed today once we see the cost and the options. But I think it does make sense to look a little bit out.
Well, and I think about the long-term safety too. If we had a more solid surface, I know we need to be aware of our money spent, of course, but I think about the longevity of it, the replacement of gravel, lining, because this isn't going to go away. We're not going to get less cars. It's something that needs to be sustained for an extended period. So I would like to see even some information, if you get a bit about the durability of that compared to gravel, and if it seems to be a longer term fix expense-wise too for the district.
Do you want me to quote having it paved?
I think might as well.
Sure.
So paved, the whatever gravel mix that is up by Community Stadium, and then just a couple more quotes on the rocks. But it sounds like we see the value in this and are supportive. I don't want to speak to everybody, but I'm supportive of it.
Yes. Yes.
So.
We can either rescind the motion or we can vote, and we would we would vote on how it is now.
I would rescind it and entertain a motion to table the proposal until Mr. Smith represents it to the board with the additional information you all have asked for.
Okay. So what else do I need to do when he rescinds his motion?
You just need a motion to table this item.
Okay, so we'll motion to table this item until we receive further quotes and options for the auxiliary parking. All right. Motion by Ms. McCowan, second by Dr. Gould. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. All right, and we have the next piece. Can I have a motion to approve new high school change order? Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan, and open up for discussion.
Okay, so at the beginning of the project, a underwater spring was identified, where is essentially the visitor parking lot and the bus circle. It's good timing. The picture's still up there for the parent loop and the visitor parking is. So if you look at the very northeast corner of that parking area where the bus loop is and parent loop, that's where the spring is coming to the top of the ground. Groundwater is going down that tree, grassy planted area between Schoolhouse Road and our bus loop. And so at the beginning of the project, that was identified, and then we had a dry spell, and the spring dried up and went away for essentially 2 years. We had not heard anything about it, seen anything about it, so the conversation around how to fix that at the time sort of dried up as well. Well, we had a very wet spring, as you remember and recall, and the spring came back. And so talked with the architect and the engineer, and there is a concern that the long-term detriment to the parking lot, is there if we don't remediate this, with the water being able to erode the gravel and the rock that's underneath the existing pavement. So we had them create the remediation plan, which does require just a little bit of the parking lot being dug up, a thing called a spring box to be put in, and some drainage lines to be able to divert all this water away from the parking lot. The CMTA engineers are highly confident that if we do everything that's on that proposed change order, there was an option A and an option B. Option A is it might fix it. Option A and B is highly probable that it will fix it. The recommendation would be to do option A and B, and let's make sure that we get it remediated and we don't have any issues with the parking lot and at some point down the road. So that's the gist of the change order. The total cost for the change order is $76,243.24. I think it's on page 4 or 5. There's a little over $1,000 credit memo that takes the original balance down to the $76,243.24. So
I want to say something. I'm really concerned that the parking lot was built there on top of a spring to begin with. I'm just going to throw that out there.
This is the first we're hearing about it.
And now I wasn't a part of the board or any other decisions at that point in time, but how do we know that this is going to fix the problem? Because I don't want to get back after we've spent the money and potentially the roof on the middle school and parking lot and all the things that we know need to be fixed, but are we sure that this is absolutely going to remediate the long-term issue of a spring, especially when we think about water tables and things that may fluctuate? I'm just kind of at a loss that this all was built on top of something that has probably been there for thousands of years, that just happened to not be a great wet as we're listening to the rain come down. I just want to make sure before to be good stewards with this, that this is going to effectively fix it long-term. And Mr. Smith, I know that this is not you're just sharing the news and it's not anything towards you, but I just want to make sure that this is
I did ask the same question
Thank you.
to the engineers.
Thank you.
Because, it's a significant amount of cost. I don't think there's anyone on the planet that would tell me 100% sure that this will take care of it, but they were highly confident that this will take care of it, because of what we're talking about. It's I don't want to spend $76,000 and then in 5 years we have a spring issue. And so that's where option A came in, with putting some French drainage in to divert the water that might fix it. Option A and B, they feel highly confident from an engineering standpoint that should highly confidently fix that.
Well, did they have any follow-up about why this wasn't considered and we put blacktop
Well,
over it to begin with? Because that I guess that's where my distrust in the process comes in.
As I mentioned, this was there at the beginning of the project. They were aware of it. There was conversation around the spring. Then all of a sudden it dried up and went away. And I don't know why the conversation went away for 2 years other than that.
Out of sight, out of mind.
I don't recall having any conversation about, well, it's dried up, let's not pursue it anyway, because I feel like I would have probably pushed the pursuit of that 2 years ago versus having to dig up a portion of a parking lot right now.
That's brand
and get this
new.
repair. But it didn't happen that way. Thankfully, what I am thankful of is that we had a wet spring and it came back this spring and not next spring.
Right.
2 springs from now, so.
Yeah, I share the frustration that this wasn't taken care of, because it probably would have been an easy
Yes.
pass through at the time before, because there was other things that we found out with the ground, and we had to do different, I don't remember what they called it, but they had to basically pour concrete into the ground and make sure everything was set. So I'm definitely frustrated that this was identified and not addressed when it happened. It doesn't seem like, I mean, we have to fix it or it's just going to get worse in the long
Right.
run and may end up costing us more down the road than it would now to address it here. We also do have to keep in mind any maintenance costs to this drainage box. What was it called?
Spring box.
Spring box.
Spring box.
So is there any continuing maintenance to what's going to be put in the system, or?
Not that I'm aware of. It'll be
Okay.
completely underground.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we're all a little, and I think you're included in this, a little frustrated about just that we didn't know about it before, that it was identified and we didn't just take care of it at the time. But I don't know that we have a lot of leeway in, saying, well, we're just not going to do it because it could be more expensive down the road and cause damage.
Right.
Or sinkhole or something, so.
Well, and I think we have to fix it. I guess
Yeah.
my concern is, are these the same individuals that said, oh, it may not come back. We're just going to put a parking lot over top of it. Like, do we trust the legitimacy of the fix? I guess is my question and concern with this. Because in my mind and my thinking is like, you've probably built lots of construction areas hopefully before, and you chose to continue with placing this here and the infrastructure there that we currently have, and now we have to go back and fix it. Like, is this legit? Like, is this going to be a long-term fix? Because we will not have the money to go back and fix it later. We're dealing with a significant budget concern, right? And we have some money now that we have to fix it, but I just want to make sure that we do our due diligence and have a equitable resolution to it that is going to be long-lasting. That's all I'm saying.
Mr. Chairman, this really has nothing to do with the validity of the request, but in the future, I think it would be helpful when we have these type of discussions to have whomever is the contractor
Yes.
involved. You made reference to an engineer. Whoever that engineer is needs to be at these meetings so that the questions can be answered. And that's not fair to you to have to answer
No,
these
no,
questions.
we're looking at you for,
But I do think from here on out, if we have a change order or if we have a project, then whoever the professional is should be here so we can ask them the specific technical questions.
and also I feel like some
Agreed, Mr. Wilson.
I 100% agree too, and this is my frustration coming out. I think there's some liability with this decision as well. Like we're relying on them for their expertise. That's what we're paying them for. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, it's out of sight, out of mind. They lay it down. We pay for the construction. And now guess what? We have to go back and pay the same people again to fix the problem that they were in the air of to begin with. Like, I have great concerns about this. And again, you're just the person we're directing our questions and frustrations to. I know that this is none of your responsibility, Mr. Smith, so I don't want you to don't take I'm just voicing my frustration. But that's why I'm concerned about this. Like, I think we have to move forward, obviously, but I don't know if these are the people that we want to put our confidence in around fixing this issue, especially given that that's part of the reason why the issue was created to begin with.
And then I would just say, I know that we did surveys. I mean, I would assume there was some kind of liability or something when the company built this and we paid for it. So I don't know if that's something that can just kind of be looked into. Like, we did do the surveys. You told us this was okay. This clearly isn't okay. The fix may fix it. The fix may not fix it. We paid for it once. Now we need to pay to have it fixed. So I do have that concern also. So I do wonder if we could just kind of look into that and see if there is any way that, because when you look at the order, it, of course, negative balances us out in that contingency, but it also is, you know, almost a $4,000 A/E. I assume that's architect/engineer fee, and then the change for the CM fee is the $54,000. So I mean, it's significant. So I do wonder that if after the surveys that decision was made, and this is the first we're hearing about this, that's concerning. And then the other thing I did wonder is, it seems like this could be something that maybe should also be bidded, or set out for bid or sent out for bid. I don't know if I said it right the first time.
Well, so to be clear on that, it was bid. Trace Creek did whatever that they normally do through that process. So
there are 3 bids that we can look at for this?
Trace Creek went through the bidding process and did whatever I don't know how many bids were submitted, but they'd have to answer that. But they took care of getting pricing on that project, so.
I think it would be nice to have someone look at that and maybe say yes, no, or maybe so.
And it may not be the same people that made the decision not to make us aware and move forward with fixing it at the time that is going to fix it now.
Same engineer, same architect.
Well, no, we don't know. We don't know who they gave bids to. So
same
yeah.
CM.
So we don't.
It's the same CM, the same architect, and the same engineer.
Right. I know
it's all
that.
the same.
But I'm saying the people that they put out to bid, the contractors, we don't know if it's the same people. It could be, but we don't know. So I think it would make sense.
Right, but there's
kinda
still
what
the
everybody's-
CM. Right?
Well, and I think
Correct.
and I do think that maybe Trace Creek has some responsibility in this. Like, honestly, if they're the ones that are looking at they've looked at the architecture, they've looked at the what am I trying to say? The plots, the land. They have the surveys. Thank you. That was the word I was searching for. They have the information. We are leaning toward them as the professionals in the room to make some of these choices, and now we're responsible for fixing a significant amount of, there's a significant value to this. So I do think that there needs to be some conversations with them around this and some responsibility. And I'm not the legal professional. I don't know if we can move forward with that, but I do feel like they should be held somewhat accountable for this decision making.
I think we can table, if we've already made a motion, I don't even know if we've made a motion to approve this change order, but maybe we table it just like we did the one before. Rescind the motion, table it until we can get, because Trace Creek had been coming here and providing updates. And then when Mr. Ratliff left, I feel like those updates just kind of dropped, and then it kind of fell to you, Mr. Smith, to help carry the torch. But it'd be good to have them here, especially because there are some significant things like sidewalk, parking lot, and now this spring box that are not completed yet.
Yes.
I agree.
So I'd like to.
Just for purposes of moving this along.
You can rescind.
I'll rescind my motion.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think
Mr. Wilson keeping us on track.
So I'll move to table this item until we can get the quotes, I think, is what we're looking for, that were provided by Trace Creek, as well as Trace Creek here to answer some questions.
So what I'm understanding, you want me to have Trace Creek come back to the October board meeting and give the presentation around that, and they can answer all the questions?
I would like not, and to have them be prepared, because one of the things that I think we're all concerned about is this problem was already identified before they built it.
Sure.
We weren't told, we as the board, whoever's on the board at that time, weren't told about it or offered a recommendation to correct it at the time. And now we're being asked to tear up the concrete or the parking lot and replace, this new spring box. So I do think some accountability needs to be addressed.
The fact that they were like, it just dried up and went away. Like, if anybody has ever had a spring in their yard, they know that it ebbs and flows. Like that is,
It's fixed.
it doesn't mean it's going to be gone
Motion-
permanently.
So the motion's on? Can I have? Motion, yep.
Yes.
All right.
So you moved to table it.
I moved to table it.
You need a second.
I need a second.
Second.
Second by Ms. McCowan. All those in favor? Aye. All right. 5-0. All right. Next we have curriculum and instruction update by Mr. Asher.
Okay, good evening. The main thing I'm going to be going over tonight is our accreditation process that I have made mention of, but I want to go through it in more detail and a number of other facets, I guess, involved with that. One thing I want to point out first is we have a lot of planning and a lot of processes going on, but they are all aligned. And so they essentially provide layer upon layer, but they are all aligned to ultimately work towards a common goal and a common vision of our portrait there behind you. So while they are separate entities, like this one, for example, this is going to play into the strategic planning that Dr. Jones has initiated. And so I just want to be clear on that they're not separate entities. So first and foremost, Cognia, the accreditation, what is it? There you have the definition in front of you. There's several things I want to underline. It's a comprehensive review process. Ensures that they, meaning the school district, meet and exceed rigorous standards of educational quality and effectiveness. Just reading that right there will also, when I say this process will complement others, this will then parlay also into our CDIP process as well. In the system, when I looked up our institution summary, you'll see here our last accreditation date was in 2019. Initially, I believe the term for that was 4 years, but through COVID time, they extended that. So as you can tell, 2019, we are due for our 6-year review. There again is that definition where the arrow popped up. But just when it talked about rigorous standards, they're under these 3 headings of leadership capacity, learning capacity, and resource capacity. Again, if you realize what we're trying to do with our strategic plan, all of these things in the area of curriculum instruction are going to play into that. The process itself involves a self-assessment, which is underway right now. There are a number of, similar to the CDIP and CSIP process, diagnostics and different tasks that you have to do for that self-assessment. Obviously, data is related, surveys, so on and so forth, as part of that. Then an external review where the folks from Cognia will take a look at that and we will in some ways score or rank or judge ourselves, I should say, on the self-assessment, but then their outside eyes and expertise will be part of the external review, and then ultimately the accreditation status. This will be a long time, long-term process, I should say. The final date in review with them is in March. So we're starting now, and there's different phases of that. In addition to that, we're going to take a very unique step. And I say unique because we are the first district in Kentucky that is going to attempt to go for this certification. So my first highlight box there is that it's both the accreditation process, and then we want to tack on essentially certification for what is called competency-based education, or CBE for short. This is a partnership with Competency Works, and here's where I'm going to pull in the Aurora Institute that I've mentioned before, and I'll elaborate more in just a little bit. This Cognia works with them in this process. And there are just some hallmarks of a quality CBE program. So why do we want to go for this extra layer or this extra certification? Ultimately because of our portrait and all the things that we have learned and we've put into our paths to the portrait. We want that evaluated, and we want that expert opinion on where we are headed with that. So speaking of that, knowing that we would be the first in Kentucky, the question I had was, are we ready? And so this was a very good resource to look over, questions to ask yourself or prospective members, as it says there. And as I read through these, my team and I, and we met with representatives from Cognia, I think we're more than ready. Well, I think in terms of culture, leadership, engagement, all areas, I should say, we can answer yes to those and provide evidence, but there also will be some that will highlight areas of growth and opportunity for us. As I mentioned, Aurora is pulled into this. And if you recall in that upper left, you'll see there deepening student learning in 3 Kentucky communities. We are one of 3 in the state recognized and case studied for this by Aurora. There is just a small portion of the write-up about us and our pathways to the portrait that was released last spring. And because of that, the last arrow I have here is we've been invited to present basically our paths to the portrait and our story, as we often call it, at the upcoming symposium in the month of October. While invited, they gave us a break on the registration. However, they didn't pay for it outright. But again, have asked us to present. When I say us, myself, Susan Tracy, and Scott Hunley as being part of this process. I think that's all I have, but what I wanted to highlight there is just, again, how it's all connected, how it all plays together. They're not on separate paths. In fact, they're all aligned. And I wanted to emphasize the symposium piece here where we are presenting, because I do have a travel request on for tonight. I know we are certainly looking to reduce those and have committed to not doing those from general funds, so therefore we are doing it from grant funds, a title form of grant funds, in order to do this. But that concludes my presentation and just the overall overview, I should say, of the accreditation and the certification, and I'll continue to update you throughout the year leading up to March. Do you have any questions currently?
Mr. Asher, I don't have a question, it's a comment. My experience from state government and watching accreditation, these are time intensive. It takes a lot of time to do this. And unfortunately, you probably don't have a lot of time. So I want to thank you ahead of time for all of your hard work and those who are going to be involved in this process, whomever they may be, because this is a difficult process.
Well, along those lines, we identify the point person, and that's me, and this is how we often tackle things, and from there we divide and conquer. So we are early in the process. I've got a day or two scheduled over fall break to work on that, the initial things that are due, and then obviously the team, and it's pretty extensive, so it'll be CNI, it'll be tech, will be major contributors to it, but we will divide and conquer.
Thank you.
Is there a cost to it?
To what?
To
The
becoming
accreditation?
accredited? And,
Yes.
what does that cost?
$7,500, I believe.
And that would be due, is it already, did we already approve that?
We PO'd for that.
Okay.
It wouldn't, I don't
didn't
think it
know
would
if
have
it would come
required
before us.
approval.
Okay.
We pay a membership fee year in and year out for Cognia.
Okay.
Because we have to, because that's where all of our diagnostics that are done for CDIP and CSIP process all live on that platform. So that amount escapes me. I think it's similar in that range for all of our schools in district. But then obviously every 6 years you have to pay that accreditation fee.
Got it.
For some reason, they don't do everything's free.
Yeah, and I'll just reference the symposium. I think it's great that you're able to partner with Aurora and you're able to partner with these other groups and then go speak and share what Woodford County is doing. I know that over the summer you were even traveling and doing that. So I think it's great that you're able to share the portrait of a learner, the success we're seeing. So I do applaud you on that effort as well.
Thank you. And yes, it's telling our story, but at the same time, every time we've done it, whether it's local or out of state, I mean, we take something back because pieces of other districts sharing their story, and we all obviously have a different approach, but it is very, very beneficial to, bring back to all of the planning processes that I mentioned, that I started with.
Great point. Thank you for sharing that.
I want to mention the competency-based learning. That's something that higher ed's looking at. So I don't know if, I'm sure you're probably aware of that, but I'm not sure if everybody else is. It's something that is, a lot of institutions are looking at more competency-based, and I think the fact that we're getting accredited in that, first in the state, that looks really good, and it's really preparing our learners who are on the path to higher education, maybe not necessarily in the near future, but those to come in the future, because that is a shift that we're seeing from a higher education space. So the fact that they're able to work within that now, I think will be very beneficial for them in the long run. One of the things that I do ask, because it is something that is new, is to have some language for parents and caregivers so they understand the process of it. Because I think that that's somewhere in the breakdown of what we have sometimes, is that to get families at home engaged in that process, having a deeper understanding. I was just speaking to someone the other day and say, well, I don't remember, talking about IXL and things of that nature. That's not how it was when I was in school. And we're going to continue to grow and shift, especially in the face of AI. So I think the more language that we could have for our families to help them understand what their student is learning and why, and help them get on board with supporting their learner, I think will be really beneficial around that shift.
I don't disagree, but I think even actions are more powerful than words in that. And what I mean by that is some of the demonstrations of learning we already have going. When parents go to see Cake Wars, when parents go to their student-led conference, that speaks volumes, and that's an element of competency-based education, that they are showing how they have been a creative problem solver, a reflective collaborator, and for folks to see that is certainly going to help our communication, but I don't disagree with your point.
Oh, I agree. I think that the demonstrations are very beneficial. I think that sometimes people, we have a wide variety of experiences and lenses in our community, and I think that some people don't quite understand or see the entirety of the things that we hear about in these board meetings or experience in our work lives. So that's why I think it's really important for our families to understand the value behind what they're doing and how it's different than other districts. So I think that just kind of, again, highlights and puts everybody on the same page.
And along those lines, and yes, well, I get that as well. Well, that's not how it was. Well,
yes,
times are changing. Right?
Times are definitely changing.
But on that, we are very dedicated. That's why Resilient Learner is the first competency. That's why Deeper Learning is the first path, so that we don't neglect standards instruction, we don't neglect accountability, we don't neglect assessment. Again, it's all in the same vein, and it all complements each other, and that's our first and foremost that we're accountable for, right? But at the same time, I lost my point. Just to the point that we're the first doing this in the state, and that's not the reason why. This isn't for like bells and whistles and accolades, whatever. It's because we really believe in it. And we just want to do more and more that will better communicate this, that will help us, and truly be leaders in the state and beyond in CBE.
And I agree. And I just think that a lot of times parents, especially when it's not happening in a lot of places, or they're hearing about it in a lot of places, parents and caregivers, it's just helpful for them to understand, especially when it's something that is so new.
Yeah. And one more point. Vernacular here, but we have our strategic plan for Paths of the Portrait, and that goes out to 27-28. So we realize, whether it be communication, understanding, whatever, all things along those lines, it's going to be a process, and we have incremental steps along those lines leading all the way up to those big defenses, which is our ultimate goal there.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Asher.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. No public comment. All right, motion by Mr. Wilson. I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. We'll move to our regular agenda. Can I have a motion to accept notification of personnel matters?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Can I have a motion to accept notification of payment of bills?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 4-1. All right. Can I have a motion to approve August financial report, treasurer's report?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson. I'll second that. Any discussion? All
I
right,
have some-
Mr. Smith? Yeah, sorry. I'll just let you
After
kick it off.
Mr. Smith.
Yep, you kick it off.
Okay, so for the August financials, just a real quick recap. I explained in August, we received an errant electronic deposit from the state treasurer in an amount of $1,287,136.63. So that was refunded back to the state in August. And so that shows that our total revenues for the month were only $56,695.42. But if you look at the balance sheet and you net both of those two numbers together for the year, our actual revenues are actually $2,228,902. So I just wanted to explain that errant deposit that they sent us kind of skews everything. And so I just wanted to explain that. The expenditures for the month of August were $3,506,476.16. Of that, salary and benefits was $2,638,934. It's approximately 75%. Non-salary and benefits is $867,984. There's the pie chart that represents the 75%, 25% split roughly. Back to the balance sheet. So the general fund one, it illustrates the cash in the bank, and then all the assets, liabilities for the district, fund balance. What questions do you have for me about the financial statements for August?
Ms. McCown, thank you.
I was just going to ask about where we're at with the potential for a payroll loan coming up.
So a tax anticipation note, I'm highly confident that that will be unnecessary in FY '25. We have enough cash in the bank to carry us. I'm very confident all the way up through we receive our first local tax payment in November. So this year, that will be highly, highly unlikely.
Okay, good. That's good to know. And some of the other things that I know I emailed you about, Mr. Smith, I just wanted to share with the board because maybe you all had the same kind of things. But just going through what our expected revenue is, so our earnings on investments look like they're projected to be much less. And Mr. Smith does budget conservatively. But he said that a reason for that was that a significant portion of the interest that we earned last year was due to the construction fund. And that has obviously changed as we're completing that new project. Let's see. Oh, reduction in Medicaid reimbursement, and in speech and language reimbursement, $130,000 reduction in transportation revenue, but SEEK and local taxes both increased. So I was trying to understand the difference there. Like, it seemed like the decreases in revenue that I was able to identify were fractional when you looked at really what we would get from SEEK and from taxes, local taxes. But it's a convoluted kind of situation. That's all for me.
All right. Thank you, Ms. McCowan. Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Smith?
I guess just to kind of follow up, have we received any financial assistance from an outside entity other than just those things that you noted about the $1.3 million refund for a errant deposit?
No, we have not received any financial assistance from any external entity that I'm aware of.
Thank you.
All right. All those in favor of approving the August financial report, treasurer's report?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the August board meetings? Motion by Mr. Wilson. I'll second it.
I need to abstain because I wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
I would also like to abstain. I understand we can review the minutes,
Oh, yeah.
review the meeting and vote, but I just feel more comfortable not having been here.
Okay,
Thank
all
you.
right. All those in favor? Aye. All right, so passes 3 ayes and 2 abstentions. All right, can I have a motion to approve trauma-informed approach plan? Motion by Mr. Wilson.
Second.
Second by Ms. McCowan. Any discussion?
I've looked at the plan. I think it looks really good. The one thing that I would like to see, and I know that Ms. Oates did, and Ms. Hargis did a great job of working, and other people involved, to train all of like our individuals that were not necessarily teachers in the district in trauma-informed care. I would just like to see that process continue, and a special focus on our SROs in that area as we look at alternatives to discipline or alternatives to suspension. I really just think that just having every person that is in the building trauma-informed, if we can continue to strive for that measure, I think is really, really important. But I'd like to also expand that even to our coaching staff, just any person that we employ in this district who has contact with the child. And I think that they've done a great job, and part of that is included in the plan, but just wanted to reiterate that as we continue to move forward, that doesn't cease to, it just gets more developed, I guess is what I'm saying.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Can I have a motion to approve shortened school day, shortened school week?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Can I have a motion to approve the calendar committee membership?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan. Any discussion? Or, Mr. Willis, do you want to share?
So the calendar committee is made up of statutorily required members. We do add a student on there. We feel like it'd be good to have a student member. What's not on there that you all need to decide before you vote is who's going to represent you. I just thought it'd be best the board to select your own member, so that just needs to be part of the vote too.
Mr. Chairman, I volunteer for that.
All right. We have a volunteer by Mr. Ambrose. Anybody want to fight him for it?
I support that.
No, there's no fight. I just had a question. Last year, you all sent out the different options to the community. Is that going to be an option again this year?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, I would love to see that. I think that was a really great idea. So.
Yeah.
Mr. Wells, I've got a quick question. I'm interested in the student position for that. Are you going to send out a form to the Woodford County high schoolers? How do you plan on doing that with the student
So,
involvement?
We already have a student
You
selected.
do?
That's part of the proposed membership.
Okay.
The only member that's not on the list before the board is the board member.
Okay.
And they selected Mr. Wilson for that.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Thank you, Mr.
opposed?
Wells.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. And thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion to approve creation of a position?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan. Mr. Wells, you're already there.
Yeah, just, we have a cross-country, we have students that participate in cross-country at the middle school, but we do not have coaching positions for cross-country. So that is the request to create a head coach and assistant coach for cross-country at the middle school. Right now, currently, I think we have an assistant track coach from the high school comes down to do that. They really need their own dedicated coach.
I agree. I've heard about this as well, and we have a lot of athletes that are involved in cross country, which is a great thing. And so I do think it makes sense to expand the coaching staff to support that many students. So
And the funding source for that, I know I asked Dr. Jones, and she shared that that would come out of the general fund, and we've got the money to support that without having to eliminate something else.
Yes, we do.
I would like to abstain from the vote, and I guess I need legal counsel on this, because the person who serves in the cross-country position now is my child's pediatrician, so I don't know if, like, since he's kind of doing that job already, because he coaches the middle school too, do I need to abstain? Because that person's not hired.
no.
You're not eliminating a position, you're creating a new position.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't,
You'd be okay.
I don't think you're.
Okay, I just didn't know, because
This
I wanted
isn't
to
picking
be.
who's getting the
Right.
job.
Well,
This
right.
is just approving the creation.
Well, I know,
of it.
but it just
Right,
that
you're not taking
connection,
any
that
action that
relationship,
would-
so that's why.
Affect his current position one way or
Okay.
the other.
Well, I just wanted to be clear, transparent
Good
about
question.
that, so,
Yeah,
thank you.
Coach Swingle and Coach Phil do a lot for Woodford County. I think Coach Phil definitely deserves help.
I agree.
He's got a lot going on in his
Yes.
personal life. he deserves
yeah.
he deserves the help.
Yep. No, I agree. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Can I have a motion to approve emergency reading of toilet training proposed policy?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan. Mr. Wells, or anybody want to share?
Yeah, so we've had an increased number of issues, not just this year, it's actually happened over the past several years. I've got Ms. Hargis with me here tonight. She's really worked with it more directly, so I'm going to kind of let her talk about the issues that we're seeing.
Okay, thank you.
So we're seeing a lot of kindergartners that they're not potty trained, that they're wearing pull-ups, packing wipes. So that's kind of the issue right now, is just not being able to be potty trained, not being able to go to the bathroom unassisted with teachers' help of wiping and cleaning, and we just really have had an increase dramatically in that, so we're needing a policy for that.
Thank you. Anybody have questions?
I just had a question. This is not related to any kind of medical concerns or disabilities, correct?
No, this
And-
is not special needs or
Okay.
any IEP. These are the students' general education.
Okay, and then I guess my follow-up question would be, like, in a incidence of like a stoma or something of that nature, if there was a concern, that would be more of a nursing issue, not a toileting issue. Okay,
So this is environmental. This
Okay.
wouldn't be for medical needs.
okay, perfect. That's just the follow-up questions I had.
Anybody else have questions?
I guess,
Oh,
well,
you
I have one
more?
more, sorry.
Yep.
As we look at our preschool situation, does this, because it said under 6,
This is kindergarten.
is that only kindergarten? So it wouldn't impact maybe our preschool kiddos who may
No,
still be
this would
needing
a
some assistance?
kindergarten through,
Okay,
You know, elementary.
okay. Because the policy said under 6, correct? But is there language, did I miss the
Well,
language?
the
in-
5-year-olds are at kindergarten level.
Yes, but like the 4,
Yeah, so this would not be part of preschool.
okay, perfect. I just wanted to clarify because the age was on there, so.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Can I have a motion to approve BG1 for 330 Pisgah disposition?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson. I'll second that. And Mr. Smith is coming up for discussion.
So the BG1, KDE just changed their process as far as the documentation that's required to dispose of a property. I know the board had already surplus that and went through the formal procedure to surplus that a couple of board meetings ago. But as we started going through the process to get contingent approval from KDE, they're requiring the approval of this BG1 document. So that's essentially what it's here for.
Okay. So this is just because of a change in KDE's procedure that this is another step in the process?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions on this?
No, I would just say that I did vote no on that when it was on the board on a prior agenda. And I do strongly still believe that this is something that should be discussed with the community. It should be open, transparent. There should be meetings. There should be time for folks to come in and talk and have input, because at the end of the day, you know, the taxpayers do fund the schools, and, you know, the assets of the schools do belong to the community. And so I just strongly believe that's something that should be discussed, and folks should kind of be given a heads up, because that doesn't always happen. And I think that in turn leads to some mistrust and, you know, issues with the public's trust of the board in general. So I would like to see that be something that is somehow discussed or put out there or highlighted, just so that folks will know this is something that's being considered. And, you know, if you have an opinion or you would like to have discussion, that they have a forum to do that.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion?
Oh, and then one last thing, I'll do a KT. One last thing, and I do also believe that the attorney, the local attorney that advised us on the restrictions to that property, I do strongly feel like that I trust that attorney, and so I do strongly believe that I still have concerns about those restrictions.
I would say that's a difficult situation too. Well, I don't know how much we can even speak about it, so maybe not.
And this isn't voting, I mean, this is just voting for the next step in the KDE process that's new. This is not voting that we are agreeing to a certain bid or agreeing to a certain sale. This is really just continuing the process. It's already been voted on that it was a surplus property, so.
Right, so this is required for KDE's contingent approval. After that, then the district would move forward with listing it for sale through one of the methods that's provided for in the statute, right? Whether that's taking sealed bids or a public auction, or anything like that. So this is just the one next step in the process.
Mhm. Thank you.
I guess too, I'll just say, what makes it very difficult is you've got an opinion from an attorney from however many years ago that property was purchased, and you've got something that sounds different now. I am not an attorney, so I mean, we have to do the best that we can do given whatever up-to-date information we have. So that's kind of a difficult situation.
Are we gonna have time to, like, at some point in time, talk about this? And I don't know if, because it is property related, if we have to go in behind closed doors, but that might be something that it sounds there's a lot of varying thoughts about it, and, you know, maybe that's something that we need to entertain at some point in time, so we could decide what to do.
Yeah, when we get closer to the actual, like, bids, we would go into executive session. That's correct, right? Yeah.
It seems like once we declared it surplus property, the reason for a closed session would be void, but that's just my inexpert opinion.
And it's already been
Surplus.
surplus, yeah.
Yeah, and the concerns that you all are talking about would be part of a buyer's due diligence in terms of a sale. That's not necessarily a board question. Once it's been declared surplus, that's a due diligence question for the sale process, so.
Thank you.
So there's not legal ramification that could come back.
It depends on.
The thing.
I can't talk about that.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Okay. Is that everybody? All right. All those in favor of approving BG1 for 330 Pisgah disposition?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 4-1. Can I have a motion to approve FY26 working budget? Motion by Mr. Wilson. I will second that. And Mr. Smith?
All right, so, yeah, you can see my presentation on your monitors, everyone? All
Yes.
right. Thank you. All right, so just very quickly, budgeting process. So the draft budget is due in January of every year. The tentative budget is due in May, and now it is time for the final working budget due in September of each year. So with that, working budget is presented for the board approval at this meeting. A local school board is required to submit a working budget by September 30th. Revenue for all funds recommended for the working budget are shown below in Table A. So for the general fund, the projected revenue is $52,976,971. The special revenue grant fund is $4,261,049. The capital outlay fund, 310, is $359,821. The district facility building fund, 320, is $4,357,436. The food service fund, projected revenues, $3,104,017. And then the after-school program fund, 52, $1,343,177. So the total of all funds, excluding the construction and any trust agency funds, is $66,462,471. And this does include the on behalf payments in there. It becomes very confusing when I start trying to pull on behalf payments out. So that does include those.
And on behalf is roughly, and you might be talking, oh, there it is. Thank you.
Yeah, it's yeah. Table B, so these are the general fund revenues by source. The beginning balance carried forward is going to be approximately $4,726,464. The local general fund revenue from the tax, local property taxes would be $26,870,165. The state general fund revenue, which comes from SEEK, would be $10,290,225. And then just miscellaneous federal general fund revenue, $80,000, and then other miscellaneous receipts, $56,441. And then on behalf state source payments, $10,841,246. As a reminder, the on behalfs are non-cash flow-through items that we are just required to represent on our financial statements. So that gives us a total of $52,976,971 in total revenue for the general fund. Let's just go
Yeah,
throughout.
go
It'd
ahead.
be easier.
Yeah. You hit your mic.
Can you hear me now? Sorry. I did have some questions and comments just on Table B. They're for you or Dr. Jones. I guess my question's, like, if you want to pull up the working budget, just the very first slide that's attached. So the document 104.
I'm sorry, I'll find it in just a moment.
That's okay.
I'm not looking at exactly the same thing you are, I don't think.
Yeah, I thought it'd be easier if I just said what I was looking at. That way everybody can kind of look at it together.
Okay, I'm sorry, what page?
Just page 1. I guess the first thing is just the beginning balance. I know in July, we were told it would be around 5.2, 5.3 million. And at that time, I thought it would probably be around 4.8. So just to be very clear that our fund balance decreased by a little over $3 million from last fiscal year to this fiscal year.
I think I calculated 2.8, but yeah, that's really close, so.
Okay. And I just did that just by taking the last year's actuals and subtracting out with what is remaining right now to kind of get that number. So, because sometimes I think it was said that it was a $2 million loss to general fund, to the fund balance, and I just wanted to be clear that it was actually a little over a $3 million loss. The next question I had was about that balance, the 4.7. I know the last fiscal year we had almost $1 million in assigned fund balance. And in July, you said you didn't think we would have anywhere near that. You didn't think we would have that problem. Do we have an assigned fund balance that's going to come out of that?
Yeah, so that's the purchase orders we talked about that have to be carried forward. It's in the $200,000 range for this past year.
Okay, so I just think it's important, like in my mind, instead of 4.7 starting, we're really going to be starting with around 4.5, right? Because that's going to come out of this fiscal year.
That's correct.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure that I was thinking about that correctly and kind of getting up ahead of that because last year it seemed very confusing. So I guess the next question I have just has to do with our general property tax. So on page 1, if you look at 24, it's around 16.8, 25 actuals, 15.3, and the budget appropriation that you have for next year is 19.2. So that would be almost a 10% gain over the actuals from last year. It's actually 1.6 million. And so we just had the big tax hearing. We had all the documents that we put out. We said that we needed to do the recallable 4-cent rate, and if we didn't, we were going to make around $800,000, and this looks to be almost double that. So I just had a question about that, if that was an error or if that had been recalculated somehow. Can you just kind of explain that?
That was the number on the worksheet that Baird provided to me.
So the worksheet was incorrect, or?
Well, that's the tax rate that was calculated, compared based on the assessments. So, I mean, it's a simple calculation. So
you think this $19.2 million number is accurate?
I think you're comparing it to actuals, and so you can't compare it to actuals because the assessments last year were not the same as they're going to be next year.
Well, what I'm talking about is when we had a vote, we were told as a board, if you do this rate, you will generate this much income.
Mm-hmm.
So the 4% rate, we were told would generate around $800,000. We voted for the 4% rate. So when I looked at this document, I expected to see that $800,000 number, but you're saying it's really 1.2 million for the 4% rate?
No, that's the estimated taxes based on the assessments that were sent out by the PVA. I don't think you can compare that to last year actuals because actuals are actual tax collections, not based on what's estimated. I think the worksheet compared based on what was estimated based on the different assessments values. So I'm not sure we're comparing apples to apples here.
I see what you're saying. So what I'm saying is, as a board member, I was told that if we did the 4% rate, maximum increase, that would generate $800,000 of revenue. That's what the sheets that we put out, it's on our website, we
So
put it in
actually,
the paper.
yes. So on that sheet, we talked about if we were looking at additional revenue, and you can help me out, Mr. Smith, as well on that. But if you look at when we estimated based on what we were told at that point, this is additional revenue that we would have gained with the 4%, and that's an estimate because you don't know for sure until we get the actual numbers in and the collection rate and that sort of thing. But the other big thing that we all calculated, we sat together as a team at central office and calculated collectively, and we also had verified by Baird Financial, and we also had our consultant from KASA look at. Those were estimates based on, please help me out because you were there.
Well, again, these are estimates based on the assessments that were provided by the PVA. You know, the rates are what the rates are. And so you're comparing it to last year's actuals, and you can't compare it to last year's actuals because last year's actuals are based on last year's assessments and last year's property tax rates. And so the 800,000 in revenue is just based on a pro forma, amount of, here's the assessments. If you take the 4%, this is the new revenue that's created on that 4% revenue versus taking the compensating rate. So I just don't think that what we're comparing here with looking at that 19,212,000 versus what the last year actuals are, that's not apples to apples. I just don't think that we can get to the same place looking at those numbers versus what's on that worksheet.
And that was also projected from KDE, like that was also on the projection from KDE as well.
Yeah, the worksheet is based on assessments and the static values of whatever the compensating rate is, but it's not comparing it to last year's actuals. They don't have last year's actuals when they submit that information out. We have last year's actuals, and that's what's on this document. So,
I got the sheet.
yeah.
So it does show for FY 24-25 actual, we collected 17.53397. And then, so that was a projected increase of new revenue of 1.68, which is what you get when you subtract 17,530 from the 19,212 there.
Okay.
You get 1.68, and then it looks like we subtracted $535,224 for PSC property tax. We gained $57,562 for distilled spirits tax, and then motor vehicle taxes decreased $374,868. So that's where you get the $829,124, according to this.
There are some offsets in the other property tax ranges.
Okay, well, I think just as a board member, like, I would be more comfortable knowing, like, if we're told we're voting on something and we're gonna get a property tax increase of 800,000, and then when I look and see it's actually double that. I feel like when we get kind of garbage in, we kind of have garbage kind of votes. And I think it's important because at that time we were being asked to do a vote that was recallable, and we were told that that would generate about $2.4 million in revenue. And now we're finding out actually doing the 4% rate generates $1.2 million in revenue. And then there's this new line item under there, PSC property tax. And so that looks to be a new kind of item. And when you add that with that 1.2, you really get 2.3, which is almost what we were told the recallable one was going to generate. So I just think it's important that, like, we're clear with our numbers, because when you looked at that chart of all the things that we could have if we did the recallable tax rate, if at $2.4 million new revenue, and we're looking at this and we've got $2.3 million revenue, I'm thinking we're not talking about cuts anymore. We're talking about that list of all the things we could keep and all the things we could add. That's very close. 2.3 and 2.4 is very close. So I don't know, like, what changed in the couple of weeks since we just had that vote and how the numbers have gotten so different. I mean, I'm happy that it's increased, but I do think that when we have votes, and I think, Mr. Wilson, you brought this up at one point, we've got to know accurate numbers before we have a vote. Otherwise, the vote is not.
And these numbers were validated by multiple sources. The everything that we put out has been validated by multiple sources. I think the semantics of what you are talking about is different than what we were communicating. And so you are talking about a different scenario than what we were communicating, and it's not comparing apples to apples.
Well, just to be clear, we voted for the 4%. We were told that would be $800,000 in new revenue. That's not accurate. to be clear, what is accurate you're saying right now is that will generate $1.6 million in new tax revenue. And in addition to that, there's going to be this PSC that we never talked about, never heard about, property tax, until this document came out, and that's $650,000 additional dollars. So that a total net gain would be about $2.3 million, which again is very similar to that $2.4 million number where we told we could get a whole list of items. So I'm hoping that is the case moving forward.
So it does sound like there's some discrepancy. I'm going to jump in here because we do need to move forward because there's some discrepancies on how things are being explained, and I think there's different interpretations. So I think what would make sense is specific questions that Ms. Springate has about the discrepancies and the differences. I think that could be vetted out, not right at this meeting, because I think it's going to take some research and explaining on what the original estimate in revenue increase was, the stipulations that Ms. Springate has brought up, and I think we need to have a short up explanation of what those differences are. I think that would make sense to vet out at the next meeting.
Thank you. Can you talk about what this PSC property tax is? And because it's 0 for 24, 0 for 25, so I assume it's new for 26.
It's recorded into another line historically. It's personal service corporations. It's not new. We've had it for years. It's just the breakdown. The breakdown on the calculation sheet that we're referencing is different than how I have always presented it previously. It's not that it's not new, it's just in a different line. And so I didn't want to confuse the point, because at our working budget discussion, we were looking at a worksheet that has it broken down differently. And so I didn't want to reflect that differently for confusion purposes. Evidently that I didn't.
Well, and I'll jump in here again because I think we have asked you to show us different data in different ways this year. So I do think it makes sense that some of the things you're presenting this year would differ from prior years, because we as a board have asked you to present numbers in a different way. So I think that makes sense. I just want to clear that up for everybody.
And so there is an offset, 4 lines down, 5 lines down with the motor vehicle tax. And so it's not across the board 2 million or whatever the number is you're referencing increase. There are decreases that are netted out through that are reflected on that worksheet that gets us to the $800,000 total new net revenue from taxes. So
Like collection fees.
yeah, and the collection fees are down in expenses, and so it's just presented differently, I think. So.
Well, and that's my question. I wonder is because I feel like every month we come and we have questions and, we ask about the different line items on the budget. And I wonder if the mode of presentation is what gets some questions going and maybe some concerns or worry about things not balancing out. And I also think I just wonder if instead of having it presented, and we've talked about different formats, presented in this manner, if we had it a little bit different. And I'm not really sure what different looks like, but just from a different visual learning kind of perspective, it may be easier for you to explain and prevent some of the discrepancies that we see, because and I think that that's really what it is. It's hard when you think about it, just like what you just said, this is taken out down here longer. It's just, when you look at it line by line, the picture is not presented the same as if you look at it as a whole. And I just wonder if maybe a different format may expedite some of the understanding of what the budget actually truly is.
I do want to also throw out there, and Ms. McCallum illustrated this really well earlier, she asked questions ahead of time and sent them to Mr. Smith. I think that needs to be a normal practice. I think when you bring questions to the board meeting and it's the first time they're being asked and there's no time to prepare for those, it not only drags this out because the information is not readily available, but I think it will allow a more full answer, whether that's made here or emailed back or however that's shared. I think giving time for those questions to be asked is really important to this process. So I encourage everybody, if you have questions about the budget, about the monthly report, send those ahead of time to Mr. Smith, to Dr. Jones, so that they can look through those. That doesn't mean we can't ask new questions here, but I think a lot of those questions can be sent ahead of time so they can prepare those answers as well and give those at the meeting.
Well, thank you. And to be clear, I do think that the discussion should be had in a public meeting, and we're talking about the working budget. So talking about last year's tax revenue and this year's tax revenue is not some crazy question. It's literally just two numbers, you subtract, you find out the difference. Talking about last year's ending balance, the year before, how much we lost in that year. Again, it's right there on the document. It's not something I think that is worthy of sending an email. Mr. Smith, if you subtract last year's from this year's, is this the answer? I mean, I feel like that's just something that needs to be brought out and discussed in a meeting, because we get hundreds of pages of documents with thousands of lines, and I think it's important for the public to know and understand, because they might be told in one meeting it was a $2 million loss. Expenses over revenue last year, when in reality, when you look at the math, it's right here, it's actually 3. And we know that now because we have the actuals, and then so that, I just think that's important. But regardless, thank you for clarifying about that PSC property tax. And again, thank you for clarifying that the gain is not going to be the $800,000 that we were told. It's actually going to be closer to $1.6 million. What about, I think that's all I have on that slide. Thank you.
Could you go back real quick, though, and address something, Mr. Smith? The 1.6 million is before collection fees and other expenses come out of that.
That's correct.
So when I'm looking as a superintendent from an operational standpoint, I'm looking at, I want to balance our budget, and I felt it was very appropriate to let our board members know that clearly the pattern previous to me has been that the fund balance is going down. And so we are at a situation where we will have to make significant cuts.
Can you say that one more time? Because, and I don't mean all of it, but I think that you highlighted on a very important piece for those people who are watching, and to understand that the numbers that we're seeing are not representative. The gap is not as big as what we're talking about. What you presented were raw numbers after, like with they added to our actual budget minus the cost of collection fees and that, et cetera.
So for me, it's my goal as superintendent to balance our budget. And when I analyze the budget over the last few years, we have, as you all have mentioned as a board, the pattern is definitely that our fund balance is decreasing at a rapid rate. And therefore, when I'm considering from an operational standpoint as your superintendent, when I'm looking at how are we going to balance this budget, and then what recommendations am I going to make to our school board for that, I am looking at the actual number. So once the sheriff's department collection fees come out of that, once all the things that we have to consider come out of that, this is in reality, operationally, what that amount looks like for us in real terms. And that, I felt like it was my duty as superintendent to report that to our community and to you as board members, because it does represent significant cuts that we do have to make and we have to consider.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. And just to be clear, we're looking at a $2.3 million recurring year after year after year recurring gain in tax revenue from last fiscal year to this fiscal year coming up.
So let me draw everyone's attention.
And we do have expenses, I understand, that will come out of that, which we had expenses that came out last year.
I think Mr. Smith was about to address your comment.
So
Thank you.
On page 5, it highlights the total receipts. So if you look at the total receipts, and so those are revenues, that's not beginning balance carry forward, that's receipts from tax revenue, SEEK revenue, any other external revenue that gets brought in. Last year's fiscal year actuals, 47,785, 774. That was our actual revenue. The budgeted revenue is 48,250, 507. The difference in that number is approximately $600,000. So after you net through all the other lines on those 5 pages of revenues, we're going to net about 550, whatever that number is, a little more than $500,000 worth of new revenue in FY26 over FY25. Now, that takes nothing into consideration about expenditures. Expenditures do not stay static. I've represented and presented here several times our Step increase is about $700,000 in total. So that revenue increase will wash the step basically. And so we still have a $2 million roughly budget deficit that we have to address at some point this year. And we're going to wind up with a $2.7 million fund balance at the end of FY26, unless something dramatically changes that I am unaware of at the time. So
Thank you.
that's how the entire revenue picture washes
Yes.
out, not just that one line at the top of page one
Correct.
works out. And we have to take the entire picture into
yeah,
account when
And
we
again,
talk about it.
yes, and again, this is where I think sending questions ahead of time of your interpretations of what you're reading makes sense, because you're interpreting it one way, and there's a lot of information to either confirm or refute maybe some of your assumptions. So I think it makes sense as an efficient board member to send questions ahead of time so that they have a chance to look at them together, to answer your questions, to provide the information over email and address it at the board. I mean, Ms. McCown did a great job of saying, hey, these are the questions I sent, these are the answers I got. And that took about 5 minutes, and we've been here 30 minutes going over the assumptions that you made.
The working budget,
Right,
the numbers.
which
yeah.
is, the time is not the issue, it's that a lot of this could have been done by having the information prepared from the questions that came up, and we could have addressed this. And again,
we're
you're saying
addressing-
things as assumptions, which I think we need to get cleared up, but we got to give them time to give us the correct and updated
Again,
information.
Yeah,
so.
again, talking about the increase in revenue from last fiscal year to this fiscal year is what we've talked about, what I brought up, $2.3 million gain. And then I think that what you just said really highlights the fact that we are going to end this budget year again with a couple $1 million in expenses over revenue, is what he just said. And I think that really we just need to be aware that that's not really a balanced budget. You can't keep using one-time contingency funds. And then the other thing is that this highlights there's a spending problem. The increases in revenue are good year after year after year. However, the increases in expenses are more than the revenue year after year after year. We do the maximum revenue allowed by law year after year after year. It's not that we haven't done our part as a board doing the maximum revenue that we can that's not recallable. The issue is expenditures and spending. And again, it's not a question of math or my math. Look at the numbers, subtract them, $2.3 million gain. Yes, we will have expenses out of that, but that is the gain.
I think some of the responsibility falls on us, though, because every month we approve our expenditures, correct? And travel and all the things, and maybe that, and I know I want to let the budget committee do its job, and as far as that goes, but I think that we have to take the responsibility into diving a little bit deeper into those things and asking questions ahead of time, not during necessarily the board meeting, and we can bring up those questions that we ask, what that looks like. So I just think that that's, because they are paid out of different budgets. I'm not talking about cuts or anything, but I just think that we have to be due diligent when we talk about reducing
Correct.
expenditure.
And with
We have to do
80%
our part.
Yeah, and with 80% of our budget going to staffing,
Mhm.
that's absolutely something we have to look at, which we've already acknowledged and addressed.
Absolutely.
All right. Can I have a motion to approve, or we already have the motion?
Oh,
All those
yeah.
in favor of approving FY26 working budget?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 4-1. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good night, everybody.